this time we're going to start building the HTML page. Now, if you go here to our folder, like we had last time, and you see the index, I'm going to right-click on that and say Open with Microsoft Edge, my web browser, and open it up. So it's looking at C drive, users, desktop, True Worship page, index.html. It's looking at this file right here. And it's displaying whatever's in this file. So if I type something here like hello, and then I refresh this page, the changes are made. Pretty cool. Alright, so what we're going to do is, obviously we're not going to say hello, but we're going to start out by a title for this page. HTML uses tags, and so tags have a less than and then a greater than sign, and in the middle is the information for your tag. And we're going to say doc type. Doc type HTML, and that just tells your web browser that this is an HTML file. And that tag doesn't have a closing; it's just a single tag, just like you see it. All right, down here we're going to do an HTML tag to open our HTML page, and then a closing HTML tag. Most tags have an opening and a closing. And you see Notepad++ understands, and it will highlight both of them when you click on either one. That's a little helpful. Now it doesn't matter tabbing or spacing. That doesn't matter anything. Doesn't mean anything to HTML. So we can tab over, and it's nice because we can make our page look very nice, and we can flow through it, read it later on. So I'm going to tab in and make a head, and close the head. I always like to make a tag and then close a tag right away before I put anything in it, because if you forget to close a tag somewhere, you can have a nightmare on your hands. Alright, we're looking at, next is our title. Alright. Inside of our title, we'll just call this True Worship. Alright. Pretty good. And then we're going to do a meta tag and tell what this one is not necessarily, and it's not that important really, but for some older web browsers, I think this is necessary. It tells it what type of characters to use. Perhaps if other countries are looking at it, I'm not sure exactly why you do this, but it's important. And this is a single tag. There's no closing. And if you see how it has this / just before the ending of the tag. So that stays by itself. Put that in there. And then we'll do another one. I'm going to copy this one. Meta name, viewport, content, width, device width, and initial scale is 1. So what this is telling the web browser, and most of this stuff is set by default on any web browser, but in case someone's using a off-the-wall web browser, you need to put this in there. It tells us, tells the web browser that I want the width of this document to be the entire width of the web browser, whatever it is. And then also the initial scale. I don't want this to be like a 50% scale or 150% scale or 200%. I want it exactly 100%. So that's pretty good there. Now we're going to need to bring in our CSS file. And so I have another document over here I'm copying and pasting from, just for sake of time. Okay, we're going to put a link in here. And this is also a single tag, There's no opening and closing. It's just a single tag with a / at the end of it. And it's called a link. Inside the link, you have a relative. In other words, how does this relate? How does this document we're going to look at relate to the HTML document? Tell it, well, it's a style sheet. Okay, so that knows it's not a JavaScript. It's not a text file. It's a CSS file. And then we go over here, the hyperlink reference. Where do I find this? In other words, the computer's going to say, well, I want to go somewhere and find the document you're looking for. So we just started with CSS. Now, if you look in our file system, I'm not going outside of this directory. I'm staying inside the directory True Worship page. So all I need to do is look for a, and I have this named wrong, look for a folder called styles, and then inside styles I need to look for main.css. So let me change that. The file name is styles, and then the folder name is styles. The file name then is main.css. And I think that's all we're going to put in our head for now. Yes, that's all we're going to do for now. Now we're going to go down here to our body. And inside of our body, we're going to have quite a few things. We're going to have, the way HTML works is it looks at divisions. And basically they're just boxes on a screen. All right, so we're going to say div oops, can't type. All right, div. All right, so we have a box, and we can put whatever we want. Hello inside this box. Now, if we go back to our web browser, we haven't updated in a while. But over here, we've given it a title called True Worship. And we'll change this to, just so we can see it change. Hello, Matthew. We've given it some text, and it's inside of a box called a div. So we go over here, and you see that the title up here is pretty much just the name of the location. But I've given it a title, so that's going to change, and also our text in here is going to change. So when I refresh, oh, that's why it didn't, I didn't save. Refresh. All right, now I have the title, True Worship, and I also have the new text I typed in. And that div, by default, just is big enough for the text to fit in, and we don't have any style on it or anything. It's transparent completely. So you can't see that there's a div there, but there is a div there, a division or a box. It's called a div. Now, back here, I'm going to delete out the text because we don't want to say hello, Matthew. We can give certain elements in our HTML page IDs or classes. All right, so I'll explain an ID right now. ID equals, oops, screen. All right, so this div is going to be, it's called the screen. No other div or any other element in my HTML document can have the same ID as this one. Else the whole thing would be confused. All right, and I'll show you why in a moment, but just remember that IDs mean this is the only one that can have this name. All right, inside of the screen, I want to have a div. There's going to be a lot of divs in this. And this one has to have an ID of banner. Okay. inside of the banner, we're going to have, before we go there, we're going to go down here and we're going to do another div, div, and give this one an ID of wrapper. And then the very bottom, we're going to have a div called footer. It's just tedious work. Alright, so you have a banner at the top, and if we look back at our page, our banner is right here. Okay? And then we have our wrapper, which starts here, goes all the way down, and it includes these three boxes, information boxes. And then our footer is this black thing that's slanted on the bottom. And so our page is divided into three different elements, basically, inside the body. The whole thing is the body. All right, now let's go back to banner. Inside the banner, we need to have a title, which is up here, and our logo is going to go inside the title. Title is going to go all across the page, and we can put other things over here if we want to later. Right now, we're just going to have a logo there. So we need a div called title. With an ID of title. I wish I was a faster typer. And we'll say inside of the title, we'll go ahead and do this. Inside of the title, we'll do make a div, and we'll give it an ID of logo. And then we'll immediately close the div. And inside of this div, we're going to put in an image. Images are done this way. There's a couple different ways you can do them. This is the best. Image is a single tag, just a less than or greater than sign, and it has a / at the end of it. And to tell it what it is, we say img, and then images have an attribute called source, src, and you're basically in parentheses, or I'm sorry, quotations, going to give the location. So we're going to go to the images folder, and then inside the images folder, we want this logo. I can't remember. Is this a PNG? Logo.png. Logo.png. And that is it for the title, the logo up the top. So I'm going to save this, and then we're going to go back to our new page here and refresh. There it is, and it's humongous because that's a big file. I think I made it 1500 by 400, so it's quite large. But we'll make that smaller with our CSS. All right, well that gets you started at least, and inside the banner, we'll start adding some more things next time. But this will get you started and at least get you with the title and also your logo on the page. Thank you.